Are you doing the intro?
What's up? Ron Carter here and Brian Marcellet.
Hey, right on, Ron.
What's
That's
going
seven
on?
figure. That's seven figure Ron Carter right there.
Well, that's the way that I like to look at it, but to be straight up,
Almost
have not collected seven figures in revenue or profit yet. Yet.
yet.
Yeah.
Which
Um,
brings us to visualization.
sure, we can go into that. First of all, like let's let people know. I mean, I'm sure you can read. You're on YouTube, right? But this is I'm sure you can. And if you can't yet, I believe in you. You can get there. But I'm sure you can read if you found this video. But this is the Mind Design Podcast, episode number. It's either 8 or 9. I can't remember. It'll
Nine.
say episode
Nine.
9.
Yep.
There we
Yeah,
go.
right on.
So visualization. What's up? What do you got for
Hey.
me?
Yeah. Hey, so the key is to visualize your life. Visualize it as if it already happened. And I don't care what it is, when you visualize, you can make things happen and make this like, see, it's like a secret energy with visualization. The minute you visualize something, you can create it because something is giving you that vision. Call it the universe, God, creator, whatever. But something is giving you the vision to shape your life.
I wanna play devil's advocate with
All
you,
right, cool. I
Brian.
love that. That makes me excited when you do that.
Yeah. But, I mean, because it's like, well, instead of me explaining why I want to play devil's advocate, I want to ask you, like, why would somebody even want to do this? It's like, and why, even better, like, why should I listen to you about this?
Hmm. Okay. What one do you want me to answer first? Why should you listen to me?
Let's start with why would I even want to do that?
Well, do you want to better your life and your opinion of what's a better life? Maybe you want to visualize a certain income that you're making, or maybe you want to visualize a tennis shot, or maybe you want to visualize a relationship, or maybe you want to visualize a house to live in, or a car that you want to drive.
Or what about I found this really helpful for myself when it comes to visualization, and that is stopping visualizing things that I don't want. Because I
Oh,
used to
sure.
think, you know,
Yeah. So you're visualizing the stuff you want, get rid of the stuff that you don't want.
yeah.
And I love that, Ron, because how many times in your life has something happened where you just end up in panic zone?
And you start to think about everything that you think will go wrong and how it's going to go wrong. And
Mm.
because this is what I would do when I was in a panic zone. I shouldn't say you. I would like so many different situations. I'll just pick one, right? So one of them was I was working that janitor job, couldn't pay my rent, and so then I'm going to like because I spent all my money irresponsibly, right? That's why I couldn't, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was my fault. Couldn't pay the rent and was like trying to figure out how I can pay the rent. But before I did that, before I got to how can I thought of all the things that were about to happen in my mind. I'm like, I'm late on the rent. Landlord hasn't reached out yet, but he's gonna kick me out. He's gonna tell me to get out. I'm gonna be on the street again. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to like move in with a buddy somewhere out of town. I'll probably lose my job because I won't be able to get to work because of where I'll be living. And
Yeah.
the reality is none of that is happening. Not, it's just in my mind. And it wasn't until I switched and said, how can I pay my rent? And then I started thinking of other things that I can do to make some money to be able to pay the rent. And I did,
Yeah.
you know.
That's so cool that you shared that because I think what happens with a lot of people out there, maybe a lot of listeners out there, when you start going into that panic mode of visualizing what the bad is, right? Which is a good point. You paralyze yourself because you're so worried about the bad outcome. Pretty interesting.
And sometimes the things that you do, for me, sometimes the things when I would be so focused on a bad outcome and and then I would start taking action to try to prevent the bad outcome. I'm
Mm,
focused on the bad outcome. I'm visualizing the thing that I don't want, and then I'm taking action in the world. I'm doing things in the world to try to prevent a situation from happening. And a lot of times, looking back on it, those actions actually created the situation that I was trying to prevent. And the crazy
hmm.
thing is, when I look at this now, like the formula for creating anything in the world and doing anything, bringing in an experience into our existence, literally is hold fast in your mind the experience that you want to have. And while you have that in your mind, go take action. So if I'm thinking of the thing that I don't want, and then I'm taking action because I think it's going to prevent the thing, like all I'm doing is that's why I would take action to prevent it, but it would bring it into existence anyways, because
Hmm.
I was holding the thing that I don't want in my mind, and then I'm going out in the world and doing stuff with that in my head. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's so interesting, you know? It's almost like y- it's almost like you're living in lack trying to prevent.
yeah. I've just to Do you mind if I share an example to kind of help clarify this?
No, go
Because I know
ahead.
this can seem kind of abstract, right? Um, so I used to do this in relationships, in previous relationships, and I bet any of you guys or even girls out there listening, um, I don't want to get too political. Any one of you who are listening, guys, girls, non-binary, whatever, right? Um, we're all inclusive here. Um, Anybody who's listening, if you've I used to I would get jealous, right, when I'm in relationships. I don't anymore, but I also wasn't picking the best partners, so they were giving me a lot of reasons to be jealous, but that's neither here nor there, right? Um, we were just talking about my side of the street over here.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
and uh, and if any of you are watching, no hard feelings, just telling the truth. Um, so
They're stalking at this point.
Um, so I would get jealous and I would get jealous and possessive. Never aggressive, but like kind of like possessive, you know? And and like maybe I get upset about like what one of my ex-girlfriends is wearing. She's going out and she's wearing some like really revealing stuff. And really this came from like insecurity, right? I'm
Yeah.
insecure that you're going to go out and find and somebody is going to talk to you and they're better than me. And so and
Ah.
so I think that I'm going to lose this person that I don't want to lose. And so I'm trying to control the situation. In my mind, I'm like, the thing that I don't want is to lose this relationship with this person, right? That's what I don't want. That's what's stemming this feeling of like jealousy and like wanting to control. And then I like say something about whatever she's wearing, which leads to her not being happy about my opinion and trying to control, like, of course, right? Which leads to distance being there, which leads to over time, maybe somebody does say something and this person seems like a better person than me because he's not the one that's telling her what she should wear and what she shouldn't wear.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That it makes so much sense, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like looking
Yeah.
back on it, but ultimately, all those little interconnected pieces make sense. But also, what makes sense is what I was doing was visualizing exactly what I didn't want, and then I was trying to take, I was trying to take some sort of action to prevent that from happening, and that action really created that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Totally understandable. And that's our, y- it has a lot to do with your upbringing and all of that, you know,
Yeah.
um, those insecurities.
Yeah. But I mean, it can be applied to anything. Like if you go to work every day and all you can think of is like how you want to just make sure that you don't lose your job and you're just
Yeah.
terrified that you're going to lose your job, well, chances are you're going to like make some sort of mistake because you're just so nervous the whole time that you're there that you make mistakes that end up leading to you losing your job. Right? So
Yeah.
the whole thing is like visualize what you want, forget what you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of and you'll, those thoughts are going to create so much anxiety and it's just not worth it.
Right.
It's
The
just
only
not worth,
time, the only time that I think of what I don't want, because there is an exercise that's kind of like a little bit of a deeper thought exercise, is like I'll do this in business, right? I'll think like, okay, if my business was to crash and burn, like right now, like if it just died out, like how would that happen? I play out the scenario, but I don't ruminate on it. I think like, okay, well, number one is I would stop getting my offer out to new people, and I would stop making offers to people. That means cash would stop coming in. And
Hmm.
this Zoom thing, when we do thumbs up for a long time, it does that. If you're wondering where those are coming from, but anyways, so I think of that, and I think of that for this specific reason. I go, oh, that would be the first step in it dying. So that means that that's my number one priority to make sure that I'm always giving my offer to people. I'm sharing my offer to people. I'm talking about it with people to bring cash in.
Hmm.
And so, but I don't think about it and visualize it happening. I think about it for like 2 minutes, and then I think, well, what's the opposite of that? And then the opposite of that is what I hold in my mind to focus on. You know, so if you're constantly thinking about what you don't want to happen, that's what, and you're already doing that automatically because a lot of us are wired like that. One
Yeah.
thing that you can do is think of, well, what's the opposite of this thing
Sure.
that I
What's
don't want to
the
happen?
what's the opposite of what I'm thinking?
Right. And then it's a quick way to, because it's way easier to think of the opposite of something instead of just say, don't think about this. Right.
Mm.
Like if I say, hey, Brian, um, I want you to do me a favor right now. I want you to just visualize for a second. Actually, don't visualize. I want you to not like whatever you do not think about a cheetah running through some African plains.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Right.
And there it is. And there's the cheetah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's like there's stories of pitching coaches that go out to see their pitcher who's struggling on the mound and they have a real good batter up and they'll say, whatever you do, don't pitch it low and outside. And what does he do? Pitches it low and outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even saying don't think of the negative situation that you don't want to happen.
Mm.
People are like, well, this is the negative situation that I don't want to happen. So it's like, okay, I get that that's going to happen, especially since we're talking about this, right? That's going to be in your mind. If you're watching this, it's probably in your mind right now because it's all we've been talking about. That's okay because whatever you do next, don't think about what the opposite of that situation is. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Ah, a little psychology going on here. Yeah. And, you know, I think once you find the opposite of the negative thought or vision, find reasons that's going to support your new thought, your new vision. Just
Yeah,
find the reasons, find things that support that, and then make that your new belief.
yeah. You just it's like if you just hold on to that and take action towards it, like I'm of the opinion that like even like making a belief, it's really abstract. It's an abstract, excuse me, it's an abstract concept, right? It's like how do I make a belief? It's like hold on to the vision of what you want, which is the opposite of what you don't want. Have that in your mind, what you actually want while you go out in the world and do things. Like it's actually like that simple. If I have that in my mind when I go out in the world and do things, I'm going to start to get confirmation bias is going to start to kick in. I'm going to start to see things and notice things that confirm the vision that I have. And all of that leads to like a belief being built, right? And then once it's an actual belief, I don't even have to work on it anymore. It's just there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were to sit there and say, "Oh my God, if I, keep screwing up with my finances or whatever, I'm gonna live under a bridge." Right? I'm gonna be living under a bridge, you know? Uh, and then you start seeing, well, what's the opposite of that? Maybe it's in, I don't know, you're in California, so I'd say maybe it's a $3 million fixer upper,
Yeah.
right?
About right.
Yeah. So, you know, if you visualize you having that upper end house or whatever, focus on that and stay focused on that,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
and even while doing it, you may find that there's a time where you feel kind of like an imposter when you're thinking about it. You're like you think about it and then you're like and then you also have thoughts like, yeah, but how was that going to happen because of this and this because of all
Mm,
these things around me. And that's why part of the thing for actually making a belief, it's not just changing what you think, but you change what you think and then you have to do stuff, right? You have to do stuff, even if they're little things. Like if I'm like, okay, I want this fixer upper, you know what? I'm gonna stop going out to the bar every Friday and spending $200.
mm,
It's like, yeah, but that's not gonna get you that house. But you, by not doing that, by deciding to have a night in instead, or taking your girlfriend to a restaurant that's half as much as going to the bar,
yeah.
and you know that you came home and you're not hungover, then you got a little bit more money in your pocket that you can put into savings or whatever. You know that you're taking steps in the right direction. It's like it's the changing the thought without doing stuff is what creates that imposter feeling.
Mm,
So when you change the thought and you haven't changed anything else, then you feel that like, well, this doesn't feel like it. This feels like make believe. It's like, well, it is. And I mean, it is until you do stuff. You know?
exactly, exactly. And take for instance, um, making your bed every morning when you get up. You get up, you get out of bed, you make your bed. It becomes a habit. It becomes a habit after a while. But what's it teaching you? Well, it's teaching you that you can accomplish things first thing in the morning. I've already accomplished making my bed. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It also gives you discipline, and it also creates a habit. And then next thing do that for 21 days or I don't know, 30 days, a month, say, right? Do make your bed for 30 days and you will automatically, whenever you get up, get out of bed, you are going to make your bed. It
Yep.
becomes a positive habit.
And it's the same thing for the rest of this stuff. Like that's such a great example because like the stop going out and like blowing a bunch of money on booze, right?
Mm,
Um, like just so you can be hungover and groggy and not thinking clearly for like the next 4 days afterwards. I mean, maybe you're hungover for one day, but it affects your thinking longer than
mm.
that. And so um, like that may be something that might be hard if you're used to doing that every weekend, right? It may be hard at first, but over after a while, that becomes a habit. I mean, coming from the guy who used to do like hard drugs every day for like a couple decades, that doesn't do them anymore for it's been 3.5 years now. Like,
Yeah.
it was hard at first. Now it's not. Now it's just it's a habit. Not doing it is a habit. Um, and it's the same thing for all this other stuff. Like, if you were to like not go out and save a little bit of money, like that becomes a habit, and then you start to actually feel good that you're saving some money, and then you like get to the point where like you want to start investing some of that money, and then you start doing that, and then that becomes a habit, and all of this stuff, like whatever you want, whether it's a $3 million fixer upper out here in California,
Yeah.
or you want just a better job. Maybe you want a better corporate job that you feel more aligned with, and you know what company you'd like to work for. So it's like you start visualizing it, thinking about it, and then get into action. Where it's like, okay, let's reach out to some people who actually work there and see what they had to do to be able to, like, let's say you want to get hired at Google or something like that. Well, what did they have to do, the people that work there, to like get a job offer? Let's like reverse engineer it. Let's see if I can do any of those things. Like, even just doing something small in the direction of your goal is like, I think people massively underplay what that is. It's like when you actually
Mm,
know what you want, and then you take a small little action um, towards that.
definitely. So, so important, Ron. And I love that. You bring up, you know, get a mentor, get someone who's already done it, who's already living your life, the life that you want, and that'll help you with the steps. Most people are more than happy to share how they did things. At least that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, and and we all do this naturally anyways. Like what you just shared. Um, like for certain things, it's like we feel like it's okay to do that for. Like, for example, I moved out of my house when I was 18, out of my parents' house, right? And I was living on my own, a couple states away, and I found myself continually calling my dad to see how to cook different things that he used to cook. And I'm
Hmm.
like, the reason why I'm calling him is because I've seen him do it, and I know he knows how to do it. And I could just go figure it out. This was kind of dating myself here, um, letting you know I'm not as young as I may seem, but this was like 2003. So this is when the internet, if you compare it to now, still sucked. I mean, it was awesome then, but there was no YouTube to just watch some recipe video on how to do something. There was like some blogs that weren't very good, and it was just way better to call somebody and say, "How do you do this?" You know,
Yeah.
for something as simple as making a recipe. But um, yeah, that's how we learn. We learn from other people. We learn from other people who really aren't trying to sell us something. And sometimes if somebody's selling something, some kind of mentorship or coaching program, then that works too, right? There's always the hack of like, you can find the people who want to share what they have, and if that person is like really hard to get a hold of, maybe if it's like if it's somebody like Tony Robbins and you want like all-star life coaching, well, your chances of getting a hold of him are going to be really hard, but
Yeah.
he's got a lot of content out there sharing exactly what he does with people and how to do things. So you can go watch that. And if you want more access, I'm sure there's a way where you can pay him or pay somebody who learned from him that knows everything that he knows, and just be like, here's my money. And then they'll work with you one on one, right? Those are always options too. It just depends on what you want to do. But like anything's possible, really. At
Yeah.
least that's my
Anything and
opinion.
everything. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. If you don't think so, just ask. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Just ask Edie. Edie, is it possible?
Well, if you disturb me in my Amazon box,
Again. So
yeah,
this is
yeah,
like the fourth time today. It
yeah.
was so funny. I was sitting in here doing something earlier today, and I didn't know she was in there. And somehow she got into the box, and the lids closed. Like she
Mm.
wasn't stuck or anything, but she was in there like laying down and the lids were closed. I thought it was just the box. The dog comes in here. He barks at somebody walking by on the sidewalk outside the window. And I was looking to see like what he's barking at, and then she just like pops her head out of the box, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like it scared me. I didn't know she was in there. She popped
Heart
out like a
attack.
jack in the box.
Unbelievable. So that's her box. You're just gonna keep it there.
Every time we order something online, we let her have the box for a couple days
Yeah.
because she loves it,
It's
you
funny how
know?
cats love that.
Yeah.
They love boxes. There's something about the box. They
We
gotta get in there.
we can buy all the cat toys in the world. If they come in a box, she wants the box more than the toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You've got what? One cat, one dog? Is
One cat, one dog.
that an indoor cat?
Yeah, she stays inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an old cat. 12, almost 12.
I think cats live longer when they're inside
They
cats.
do. They do.
Obviously,
That's
right? They don't
that's
have a
why
bob.
she's her age.
Yeah. They don't have a bobcat hunting them down.
Right, or hawks or coyotes, which are pretty much everywhere now. Um, but so you never got to answer my second question to you.
Okay, give it to me.
We
What
kind
was
of
it?
went off on a whole other thing. Second question, we're talking about visualizing, right? And I just thought like, why should I listen to you about this?
Hmm. Well, for me, visualization's always worked. It just always has. Um, Plus, of course you have to take action, but if you have a vision, if I get a vision, I have that vision for a reason. It came into me as a want or a need, maybe both. And then I just focused on getting it. Take my office right now. I just wanted a private office off of my home. So I put an office in, but it was just an empty barn. And I visualized what I wanted. And next thing you know, here I am. Now, did it take steps to do it? Absolutely.
Yeah,
It took
you had to do
several,
things.
several, several steps. But, right, I
Yeah,
went into action and I did those steps because the vision that the creator or God, whatever, I don't care what you want to say, the universe gave me. So I performed to get it done. Does that make sense?
it makes total sense.
And
What
step by step by step, it finally got finished.
that also makes me think of something too, that I wish somebody told me a long time ago. It's something I understand now. But and that's that. Well, before I share it, I just want to share a little bit of context, like for you, Brian, and for any of you guys listening, right? So when I first had a vision to start building an online business and to quit the soul sucking job that I had, sure, it's not a soul sucking job for other people, but it felt like that for me, right? And to like do something that seemed like more creative and adventurous and like make a living doing it. The first thing that I did, because I was so insecure about about my own decisions, like I would have a vision, I had this vision, and my first instinct was to go tell everyone I know about it so that they can confirm to me that this is the thing to do. It's like I
Mm.
needed everybody's approval before I would start doing anything. And
Wow.
and
Yeah, I know people like that. So this is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. And so that's that's who I used to be, right? And not anymore, but this is what I learned is that I go out and I'm excited about this thing, right? So, but I just want everybody to tell me, yes, go do it before I actually go, even though I'm excited and it's lighting me up. And I go tell everybody about it. and they don't seem too excited. They're playing a little bit of devil's advocate and not doing it to have a good conversation. That's just how they feel about it, right?
Yeah.
And so then I feel all of a sudden defeated, and I feel like maybe I'm wrong, and this isn't the right thing for me because of what everybody else says.
Wow.
And so I don't do things for a while, and then eventually it comes back and it comes back, and then I started doing things because it's like who cares how they feel, and if they agree, this is how I feel. And so
Wow.
the one thing that
Did
I
you
learned,
did you feel like, oh, I'm dreaming too big when people were cutting it down?
yeah, I mean, I don't talk about my vision in business to people who aren't entrepreneurs
Right.
anymore,
I totally agree with you.
and it's because of this. Because
Mm.
I don't need somebody telling me that I don't need to do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I respect their opinion, but it's like if you're not somebody who's already in business or somebody who's doing better than me in business, I don't I don't I don't need to know it, right? It's like, and respectfully, I don't need to know it. So I just don't bring that up in conversation. Um, and so it's like if I'm going to the gym, I'm going consistently, and somebody that comes in on their first day that's trying to lose weight, but it's their first day going to the gym, comes over and starts giving me tips on how I need to adjust
Mm.
my form on my bench press. Like I'm not gonna be rude to that person, but I want to think in my head like what like I don't need. So that's kind of like me going to go share my vision with other people. That it would be like me going to ask that guy for lifting advice, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is the one thing that I learned, and that's that the vision that I have isn't for everybody. It's my vision. That's why it was given to me
Hmm.
and not them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, like, doesn't mean that they won't have a part to play in it, but sometimes the part that they have to play in it is just sitting back and watching what I get to build.
Yeah. Sit back and I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
And
you can use those negative believers. No, what would you say? Not believers, negative people who don't believe in you. You can use those as motivation, almost like, okay, now I got something to prove.
I've
Which I
definitely done
don't,
that.
I don't, I don't recommend anyone find the naysayers and prove them wrong, but
It's
they're,
not sustainable long term,
yeah,
but if
yeah,
that's what you need to get off the couch, then sure.
yeah,
You know? Um, yeah.
yeah, pretty cool. And most of the time, like, I think, as an entrepreneur, if you're trying to help other people in any avenue of life, whenever you're trying to help someone, there's a certain force that comes over your ability to make things happen. And I find that really, really cool too. It's almost like this invisible force that just helps you get there,
Yeah.
you know? And that's pretty cool. Like, I look at you, Ron, say all the suffering you did with, abusing drugs, but look at all the people that you've mentored now. And I look at it like, okay, the creator, universe, God gave Ron enough that he could handle, but to turn it around to help so many other people.
Mm,
That's pretty powerful when you think about that ripple effect. And you were just used in a negative, you turned it into a positive. And then now all these other people are helping other people, I imagine,
right. Yeah.
once they get to a certain point.
I mean, I feel like that's just what life is about, you know? It's like we don't realize it, but like most of the time I don't realize it when it's happening. But anytime I'm learning or developing any skill about anything, even if it's something that I think I'm just doing for my spare time, like I'm gardening or I'm learning things, I'm doing things because I'm doing them, I'm learning. Because that's like really how we learn is by doing something,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that thumbs up thing again. Get out of here, butthole.
I
Um,
thought that was somebody else.
and
Let's see.
so
It's not working for me.
see, I do this, and then it's like, wait, oh, it's not doing it. There we go.
4th of
Because the
July.
superstars over here. That's why.
That's
Um,
that's right. That's awesome.
but anytime that I'm learning, I'm doing things, I'm learning, and then I'm able to impart that information and knowledge to other people.
Yeah.
And this doesn't mean that like they're not gonna have to do things, right? It's like this is one um something that I've just learned when it comes to helping other people with things is that specifically with clients that I've worked with, right? I tell them like, hey, I'll show you exactly how to do this. And then like I share with them exactly what I do to like get sales online or do whatever. Um, and then they say, but this is taking a while, or this is taking a long time, or this is taking longer than expected. And like I thought that you did all this hard stuff so that I won't have to do any of it. And it's
Hmm.
like the process is the process. Like you learn by doing. I could tell you exactly what to do and how to do it so that way you learn faster. Because with
Mm-hmm.
my process, I did a bunch of things that were irrelevant and then learned that they were irrelevant from nothing happening, and then did more things that were irrelevant, learned that they were irrelevant, and then focused in on the things that I should do. And I could shortcut that by like having you not do any of those things. But
Yeah.
still, you're still going to have to do things and then get the experience of learning from the doing. Even when I'm telling you exactly what to do and what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, you still got to go through the process, and there's going to be pain involved because every time we want an outcome and we take an action to get it, and it's like any goal, you want that 300 or that $3 million fixer upper, and you're living in a studio apartment. Get ready for some pain. There's going to be some pain.
Yeah.
Like that's what pain is, how growth manifests in the present moment. It only feels pleasurable looking back on it,
Yeah.
you know, and that's
Oh, that was
okay.
pretty cool. That's a cool quote.
Yeah, you can quote me on that internet.
Yeah.
That came. See,
That's
that's
right
why
from.
that's why Zoom gives me the fireworks. Wait,
Yeah.
it's not doing it. Zoom is like, bro, you're too full of yourself. We gotta give
Yeah.
you a slice of humble pie right
Yeah.
now.
That's all right. It's never giving me the fireworks. I don't even know how you do that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you just do this. There we go.
Where's
Yeah.
mine, Ron? Where are they?
You gotta lean back a little bit. Go like this. Do thumbs up like a regular person. Yeah, just right down there and
Wait, what do
that.
you mean a regular person? Ah, we're gonna be that way, huh? Hey. Oh my God. So there used to be this show called Happy Days. Do you remember that?
Br- Briefly.
Way before your time, right? You youngin'.
I remember being mad when it came on because I was a kid and
Yeah.
Scooby Doo was off.
Oh, geez. Happy Days used to have this character named Fonzie.
The Fonz with
The
his
Fonz,
motorcycle.
there you go. And he used to go, hey, the original thumbs up.
Yep.
I guess you'd say that's normal, right? But oh, hi there. You got a visitor.
Hi. Can you? Yeah. Thank you.
Have your girlfriend come in. But the ratings will go through the roof. Bring her in. Say hello.
But I think that's. I mean, that's kind of it for today. I know we went over. anyways.
Yeah. All right.
But
Great, Ron. Well, hey, it's always a pleasure.
always,
Thanks for
if
all
you
those
guys,
insights.
and I mean, you kicked it off, so thank you. Kicked it off with the visualization topic.
Yeah.
Um, let us know what you guys think. If you're like, hey, I like this stuff. If you're like, hey, I absolutely hate this, never talk about this again. All I want you to do is make the fireworks show up on the screen. And next week we'll just be I'll teach Brian how to do thumbs up like a regular person, and
Yeah.
we will have
Hey.
fireworks all video for you.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever used that symbol. Hey.
Yeah, it's weird. This thing started showing up. I was on a Zoom call with somebody else, and I was like doing the counting thing. Like, so step one is we got to do like XYZ, and we got to make sure. And I was doing this, and I saw the thumbs up bubble. Yeah, that
Yeah.
show up, and I was like, "What is that?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Yeah, it's weird." And I kept doing it, and then it popped up again.
I'm gonna,
There
you know
we
what I'm
go.
gonna do? I'm gonna practice all week, Ron. I'm gonna practice all week so I get the bubble and the fireworks.
You're just gonna get on Zoom calls by yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yep.
All right. Well,
All right.
if you guys have questions for us, drop them in the comments. We check them all, read them. Uh, hope you got some value out of this episode, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Right on.